My HOA called the cops on me for parking in my own driveway. What they didn't realize was that I am the cops. And when you pick a fight with the county sheriff over a parking spot, you'd better pray your paperwork is cleaner than your lawn. It started on a cold Tuesday morning, steam rising from my coffee mug perched on the hood of my patrol car. I was just about to start another day, keeping our county safe, when a woman came storming across the street, designer clogs snapping against the gravel like gunfire. "Excuse me," she screeched, pointing at my patrol vehicle like it was radioactive waste. That commercial eyesore doesn't belong in a family neighborhood. Her name was Brenda Worthington, the self-appointed queen of Willowbrook Estates. HOA Compliance Coordinator, which in Brenda's speak meant dictator in residence. The woman ironed her jeans and probably color-coded her cereal boxes. I told her calmly that my car was a county-issued vehicle legally parked on my own property and part of a community visibility program. She smiled saccharine sweet. "I don't care about your little policies," she said. "This violates Covenant Section 4.2.1. This is a family neighborhood." Then she snapped a picture of my car, turned on her heel, and strutted away. I figured that was the end of it. It wasn't. 3 days later, a certified letter landed in my mailbox, official HOA letterhead, bold font, and Brenda's signature that looked like she practiced it in front of a mirror. A formal notice of violation demanding I remove the commercial vehicle within 72 hours. Oh, and she'd CC'd my chief of police. That was the moment I realized this wasn't about parking. This was about power. I'd seen people like Brenda before. Bullies in PTA meetings, small-town tyrants with a clipboard instead of a conscience. They always pick targets they think won't fight back. The problem was, I fight back for a living. Still, I tried diplomacy first. I wrote a polite, airtight response citing state law and county ordinance exemptions for emergency vehicles. Thought that would shut her down. Wrong. Within a week, she'd gone door to door collecting signatures for a petition against visual blight. 8 signatures out of 47 homes, but she spun it like a neighborhood uprising. Then, just to rub salt in, she called City Code Enforcement, claiming I was running a private security business from my house. The officer who showed up, poor guy, looked like he wanted to melt into his clipboard. "Sorry, Sheriff," he mumbled. "Gotta follow up. Complaint says weapons and illegal storage." 20 minutes later, he was gone, shaking his head. No violation, no case, just humiliation. By the time my chief called me in to keep things calm for optics, I could feel Brenda's strategy working. She wasn't trying to beat me legally. She was trying to wear me down, make me quit, move out, disappear. That night, after tucking my daughters into bed, I sat on the porch with a glass of bourbon and a knot in my chest. For a second, I wondered if she'd already won. Maybe I should just give her the satisfaction park at the station, let it go. I was tired of paperwork politics and people who abuse authority. Then my little girl Sophie leaned out from her window and whispered, "Daddy, are we going to have to move again because of that mean lady?" And just like that, the exhaustion burned away. No, sweetheart, not this time. The next day, I started investigating Brenda Worthington the same way I'd investigate a suspect. Property records, business licenses, financial filings. Took me one lunch break to find it. Worthington and Associates, the property management firm running our HOA. Owner and CEO, Brenda herself. She was literally getting paid to harass us. Every fine, every letter, every minute she spent inspecting compliance, all billable hours to herself. It was brilliant in a sociopathic way. I shared what I found with my neighbor Jennifer, a nurse who'd been cited for her kids' chalk art. Over coffee, she told me story after story. Garden gnomes labeled aesthetic violations, fences measured with rulers, Christmas lights fined for being up too long. Every single target was someone she thought couldn't fight back. Retirees, immigrants, single moms. Except now she'd picked the wrong target. We formed an alliance, Jennifer, Dr. Kim, the accountant, and a handful of fed-up homeowners. We started gathering evidence, every letter, every bogus fee, every contractor Brenda recommended. And guess what? Those contractors, Worthington Landscaping, Worthington Home, Repairs, all the same owner. She was running a full-blown racket, create violations, recommend her own companies, collect on both ends, fraud, kickbacks, mail tampering. I'd seen smaller scams end in prison time. Then she pulled her nuclear move, a surprise HOA meeting at 2 p.m. on a weekday. Agenda: immediate action against ongoing violations. Translation: my execution. The meeting felt like a courtroom designed by Kafka. Brenda stood up front, PowerPoint blazing with photos of my patrol car, exaggerated statistics, and a speech about protecting property values. She even managed to tear up on cue. "This is about safety," she said. "Our children shouldn't have to live next to weapons and police surveillance vehicles." When she finished, the board voted 3-2 to fine me $500 a day, until I removed the threat. The smug look on her face said it all. She thought she'd won. But what she didn't know was that I'd already contacted the State Attorney General's Fraud Division. And they were very interested in Worthington and Associates. For weeks, I compiled files, bank records, victim statements, payment trails. And then I found the bombshell: the developer of our subdivision had gone bankrupt in 2019. According to court filings, control of the HOA was never legally transferred to the homeowners. That meant there was no legal HOA at all. Every fee, every fine, every official notice Brenda had ever issued, completely void. 2 years of extortion built on paperwork that didn't exist. When the fraud investigators saw the evidence, they called it prosecution porn. Their words, not mine. Brenda, of course, had no clue the walls were closing in. She doubled down instead. She keyed my patrol car one night. Her board member's teenage son caught the whole thing on a neighbor's camera. Then she filed another wave of bogus violations and even went on TV claiming I was using my badge to intimidate homeowners. The local news ate it up. Hashtags like #badgeprivilege started trending. For a moment, even I started wondering if maybe she'd flipped the narrative for good. But that same night, the FBI joined the investigation. They'd found her bank accounts, hundreds of thousands in administrative fees funneled through shell companies. The woman had been running identical scams in 12 other neighborhoods. 2 days later, she announced an emergency assessment fee, $2,000 per household, to fund her legal defense against government harassment. 47 families received foreclosure threats if they didn't pay. That was it, the final straw. I made the call. "Agent Thompson, Sheriff Hendricks here. You'll want to be at the Willowbrook annual meeting next Tuesday night." And they were. That night, the elementary school auditorium was packed, every homeowner in the subdivision shoulder to shoulder. Brenda strutted onto the stage in a navy blazer, her fake smile shining like wet paint. "Tonight," she said into the mic, "we stand up to corruption." Her PowerPoint flashed graphs, red warnings, and a big headline: "Protect our community, $1,000 per home now due." I stood up from the back row, the manila folder heavy in my hand. "Ma'am," I said, "before you collect a single dime, maybe explain this." I walked down the aisle, opened the folder, and projected the bankruptcy documents onto the screen. Willowbrook Development Corporation. Filed March 2019. No legal transfer of HOA authority. Which means, Brenda, you've been running a fake HOA. The room erupted, gasps, shouts, the sound of decades of pent-up frustration bursting loose. Brenda's face drained of color. "This is misinformation," she stammered. "We've been protecting." The back doors opened. 2 men in suits stepped forward, badges catching the light. "Brenda Worthington," one said, voice steady. "You're under arrest for fraud, racketeering, mail and wire fraud, and conspiracy." Silence, then chaos. Neighbors stood mouths open as Brenda froze at the podium. When the cuffs clicked around her wrists, the sound was sweeter than any applause I've ever heard. "This is harassment!" she screamed as they led her out. The irony. They put her in the same sheriff's car she'd tried to ban from the neighborhood. As the doors shut and the flashing lights faded down Willowbrook Drive, the crowd just stood there, stunned, silent, free. I looked at them and said the only thing that felt right. This was never about a parking space. It was about a bully who thought rules didn't apply to her. Turns out the law disagreed. And that was that. No victory speech, no celebration. Just the satisfying sound of justice doing its job. Sometimes karma doesn't knock. She shows up with a badge, a warrant, and perfect timing.